Rachel and James, we were told you just get behind you guys. So that's all right. But first of all, as mom and dad, we're so proud of you, Ed and James, and we would like to congratulate you both. We have a few things we would like to say about you, of course, on this wonderful day of yours. But mom, want to say something first?
我是一个幸运的妈妈。在孩子们的成长过程中，我没有遇到过像任何叛逆期的过程。在女儿家长会上，老师说这个孩子是个 zero trouble kid。回想起来，女儿真的是没有给我们添任何麻烦，我们也真的不知道要求她怎样再完善自己。再给她第一辆车的车牌就是开心9，我们希望她永远开心幸福。她呢还是一如既往按部就班地完成了她的大学医学院，更重要的是找到了她这如意的郎君。和 James 3年的相爱过程，证明了无论什么时候、地点和距离，他们2个人的确是很开心，从不计较个人的得失，总是为对方着想。看到他们满意的微笑，我这个当妈妈的当然也非常欣然。今天我把开心交到了他们2个人的手中，交给了 Dr. Pan。就是希望你们今后的日子开心快乐，过好每一天。James, in case you find any trouble, please share with your mother-in-law. I'm going to be your lifeline.
Awesome. Good work. Well, Rachel, as a dad, it's always difficult to say something about your daughter. This is difficult. This is very difficult. And there's always but first of all, I think this wonderful occasion, I think on behalf of the parents, the family of both Pans and Wangs, we should thank all our guests for coming today to celebrate this wonderful occasion. Because I know some of you really made a lot of changes in your schedule in order to accommodate this event. So thank you all, really. Very good. And I even know that the well-known, the biggest attorney in the world, Mr. Wolf, will actually have to fly to Omaha in order to get here. So think about it. It's really quite an undertaking. So thank you all for coming. We really appreciate that. So there's always a saying that a daughter is always a dad's girl, right? There's such a saying. And obviously it's also the same in our family. Not only that, Rachel is also the girl of the family too. As being a daughter and a dad's girl, and she's very well liked. But the thing is this, in a family, you wonder how you really measure who is actually the most important person in the home. Is that mom, dad, everybody else? Or is that because of what kind of job you do? Or if you have how many pair of shoes, or if you have how many sets of golf clubs. It's not how you measure who's the most important person at home. The way to measure that is actually to measure by counting how many pictures you have yourself around the house. So in our home, Rachel has 20 pictures around the house. Sorry, Richard, you're coming second though.
I got one.
No, you have more than one.
I got one. And I was 8.
No, I counted everybody. So
It's been 15 years.
The next will be Richard. But the thing is, you see, this is how you figure out who is really so important at home. So Rachel, you're quite a treasure for a whole family. So it was actually not quite until 2 weeks ago, I kind of realized that, my dear daughter is going to get married. In a sense, she is going to be with another fine gentleman. So as a dad, kind of lost the competition a little bit. The reason being that when the Pan's family and Wan family have been preparing for the wedding for a long time, but the thing is, after 2 weeks ago when we got her wedding gown, and Rachel's mom, my wife, Julie and I, we steamed it up, and then we decided to hang it in our bedroom. So that kind of reminds me that by looking at this wedding gown every night, that my dear daughter is going to be leaving home to be married, to be a grown woman. So it kind of dawned on me that day. So then Rachel's mom and my wife and her two sisters went to travel to Vegas. So I was laying in bed looking at this gown almost every night. And so that's when things going through my mind to start recall how Rachel grew up in this family. I remember that when she was born at Sparrow Hospital when I was an intern, and not too soon after that, she had to travel to China. And at that time, she was so tiny, she was able to fit into a back table of the back seat when you're sitting in the airplane. That's how tiny she was. But the thing is, she kind of screamed all the way there and back because the usage to the pressure change and stuff like that. But then 5 years later, she took another trip back to China. This time she was quite different. I think the first time she was able to sing the first Chinese song. I think many of the Chinese people here probably would know that song. It's called 春天在哪里？春天在哪里？春天在那小朋友的眼睛里。And that's a song that she was able to sing the entirety. But the thing is, the problem is that by the time she came back home, and she forgot all her English. So when on the airplane, the attendant asked Rachel about something, and she asked Mom, said, "Mom, 这个阿姨在说什么呀?" So she had no. But the thing is, quickly she picked up the English. It was not a problem. So this is how she grew up, and then she has an inclination to her mom for quite a while. So as a dad, it's kind of a little not easy to that, because when I was interviewing for my first job for residency, I actually went to Indianapolis to IUPUI. And when on the way down there, my wife said, "You've been driving too hard. I'm holding Rachel. Rachel's been sleeping, so you can actually take a break and I will drive." But every time, you know what happened? When I take Rachel over, sit in the car, she started crying. So this is how that she could feel that who's the mom and who's dad. But guess what happened? 28 years later, Rachel's about ready to graduate from Indiana University. So kind of tell a little story. There's always something in common if you're a dad's girl. And I'm trying to think about what's really in common between dad and daughter, and what's the difference in the family. One thing I would know is that we probably do all love color blue, right? And there's one thing, if you feel Rachel's ever getting frustrated, she would say, "What the heck?" Remember that? That's something we like to say, "What the heck?" We kind of don't swear. We also use the same brand of cell phones. And mom and son, Richard, use a different brand, by the way. Okay. What's most important, what's so different is that dad and daughter voted for the same presidential candidate, but mom and son voted for the other. So you can see wow. So there's a difference.
You're getting me in trouble.
But there's always something in common between dad and daughter, but there's always something different. I figured that Rachel really didn't quite get into golf, and still need a little bit of touch on take care of her own room, just a bit. And one story I was really trying to tell people that about Rachel is that when I was doing my residency in Detroit, and my wife and I took Rachel, decided to go to Toronto for a day, and then on the way back home, driving on Queen Elizabeth Highway, you know that, between Toronto and Detroit. And Rachel really, at the age of, 5 or 6, she really wanted to pee, you know what I mean? So in the car, okay, sorry Rachel, in the car, she really wanted to pee. So the good thing is the mom is always prepared. We brought a tiny little porta potty in the car, so she would. The thing is, after she was done, I was driving, then there's a flashlight behind my car. And the police from Canada stopped me. And for that reason, citing is, somehow you're driving this and your child got on the safety seat, So I got my first ticket, and the only ticket, since I came to North America. The thing is that I was so mad about that troopers that I said, gosh, don't you understand that Rachel is a tiny girl When she wants to go, she needs to go. It's not like a woman, you can keep your legs crossed for a long time, you know what I mean? But anyway, so that was kind of the story we shared. So after laying there thinking about this wonderful wedding and wonderful James is as a man and daughter, that I figured that if I would do this all over again to have such a wonderful daughter, I would. But only regret would be I would probably give her a bigger bedroom, a nicer car, and more chocolate and more cupcakes. However, I think that would belong to James to do now. And for us, we like to wish you the happiest. And from there onward, you need to remember that you two are the most important in the world, and your relationship is the most important in the world. It's not with your parents or with anyone else. So be kind to each other, take care of each other, be forgiving. And after I figured this out, I figured that I didn't quite really lose Rachel because, you know what? She turned out to be a neurologist. Congratulations. Congratulations, Dr. Pen and Dr. Wang.